If you live in the Northwest and you've been running or you're thinking about running, then this, my friends, is the show for you. Welcome to the Movement is Medicine show. This is your host, Barry Napier, here with Dr. Annie Armstrong.
Hey, everybody.
What's up and welcome. And today we're talking about running.
Yeah.
Because it's something you do, something I do, and it's something that we see a lot of people who are involved in running here in the clinic in some form or capacity, right? It's a very popular form of exercise.
Well, I love running, and partially because it's really so easy and portable, and you can take it anywhere. You know, pack your shoes if you're going on a trip and you can go running. It's great that way. Like, it's just so simple, and it's simple to squeeze it in, right? You can go for a run at lunch. You can go for a run before your day starts. Like, if you get a half an hour run in, you got a good 3-miler-ish.
I was going to say a little
right?
goes a long way. You know, you could do 20 minutes on the treadmill or 20 minutes out on the path or in the neighborhood, and that's a pretty good workout.
Yeah. I mean, I probably run personally, what do I run? 16 to 20 miles a week, which isn't a lot, but it keeps me from getting into an injury, overuse injury, which we'll talk about a little bit, how to prevent that. But it just fuels me. Like, I just love it. I'm an outdoor runner. I know you're an indoor runner.
I'm an indoor runner. I absolutely hate running outdoors. I mean, I like the experience of being outdoors. Oh, let me caveat this. I really enjoy trail running.
Yeah.
So I got turned on to trail running up in Bellingham by some of my best friends up there. And I got obsessed with it. I bought trail running shoes, and I bought this sick, ultra lightweight trail running backpack.
Oh, yeah.
Still has the tags on it. But I thought that, it's in there. I just have to, I realized Bellingham has a lot of outdoor trail runs, and we just have a little bit less down here in Edmonton.
Yeah. I mean, Bellingham has that, that whole Galby park, mountain bike park, trail running park. I mean, it's nuts, all the trails back there. But I have encountered many a trail runner because I'm a hiker as well. And I mean, you guys are manic. And women. I mean, they're out there. It's 90 degrees. They've got like a little water bag and nothing else on really except for Speedos. And they're like running like, I'm running 26 miles today. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I ran 10 miles on a trail, and that was, I think it was
intense.
One of the longest runs I've ever done. I'm not like a super long distance runner. And it was intense. I was destroyed. But because there's so much change in like elevation, but also you're running on such an uneven surface, you have roots and stuff, and it's just a very different running experience. But probably an example what not to do. Used to running 3 or 4 miles or 5 miles and double that, and dangerous, uneven, unknown territory that definitely wrecked my body for a little bit. But I do love running.
Yeah, I think running is definitely one of my favorite sports for my mental health as well. It's just such a moving meditation. For me, outdoors, obviously, I just get a lot from being out there. But I think just that movement perspective, just the rhythm of running. You just get your thoughts sorted out. Get your plan on, get your motivation. I mean, I just think everything. I'm done. I know what I'm going to talk to you about in our marketing meetings. I know what my team needs. I've got changes for the clinic. Like, I just sort a bunch of stuff out.
It's a huge state changer. I do think, you bring up mental health, mental acuity, so there's all of that side of the equation. And of course, there's tons of physical benefits, obviously, to regular exercise. And there's a lot of different ways you can do running, so you can kind of go slow and low, keep it a more mellow, more endurance-based type thing. You can go fast and furious and hit style, high-intensity interval training or sprint training. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can run and a lot of benefits you can get from it. And I'm agreeing with you on that mental side and that energetic side and just that mental health side of the thing. I do Peloton a lot. We're big Peloton fans. I have a Peloton Tread Plus, greatest treadmill ever made, without question. You can't buy it right now. It's on a recall. Hopefully they get it sorted because everyone should have one. It's amazing. But those classes are incredible, and the instructors are really uplifting. And I find myself, shouting and screaming along in my garage like a freaking maniac.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really great. So on the flip side, though, I think sometimes running gets a bad rap because there's a lot of people who maybe get out, start to run or attempt to run and get hurt or injured along the way, or people who've been running for a bit who have chronic issues that maybe they've tried to solve in a traditional sense and they haven't been able to, whether that's knee pain or ankle pain, foot sciatica, nerve pain, different stuff. So that I think there's also an association that running can be hard on the body and that there's a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah. Running has a bad rap for the low back and for the knees, especially. And it actually shouldn't have a bad rap for those things because it's really not directly correlated. I think the big thing to think about is if you're a runner, you better be doing other things as well. So you better do your cross training, and you better do your relief workout, whether that be, I'm a swimmer. That's my relief workout. That's how to sort of keep things unloaded, but something movement wise that doesn't load your joints quite as much. So because running is interesting, running is very linear, unless you're trail running. I think trail running is a different dynamic, but you're moving straight forward running. And then you're turning a corner and you're going the other way. So it's really important to really, I think, vary your landscape when you're running and vary the conditions you're running on, hills, flats, trails, to mix it up for your body a little bit. Otherwise, overuse injuries absolutely creep in. The other thing with running is you can run for 10 miles and not be using your glutes very well or other parts of your leg muscles, your lats, your glutes, your adductors. Things can be shut down. You're not really aware of it. And that is going to lead to some injury. So that's where it can get tricky. So I think with running, if you feel like little hot spots creeping in, you've got to get it checked by someone who can look at your whole body, your movement, check the strength of your hips, adductors, are your lats engaged? All of those are just really important to prevent injury.
One of the things you might need to learn how to do is working with a professional like here at the clinic or elsewhere is learn how to activate and turn some of those things on. So getting involved in a sequence of movements that you do prior to, and then also on the flip side, post activity as well, right? To both activate and then also release or move some of that accumulation of, that kind of can build up in the tissues or whatnot. So I think you bring up a really great point, which is looking at overuse and underactivation as some of the primary issues when it comes to a person who's doing a ton of running.
Yes. And the absolute key is you have to cross train. You've got to do some weightlifting. In addition, you've got to work your other planes, right? Not just your frontal plane.
And you mentioned stuff that's like non-loading. So you mentioned swimming, probably biking would fall into that category.
Yeah, to a certain extent biking, but biking is also very frontal forward motion. So you're using a lot of hip flexor, a lot of quad, similar to running.
What about rowing?
Rowing is a little different. You're using different muscle groups for sure with rowing. I like rowing as a break, but I think it's also not getting into your sagittal planes, right? So by sagittal, I mean side body. So you've got to challenge that as well.
Well, that's something where you'd almost need to look at. You could maybe fill that gap with some kind of exercise stuff like side lunges and that type of thing,
Absolutely.
curtsy lunges. I mean, are you thinking just even those types of activities?
Absolutely, yeah. A good weightlifting program that is properly designed will really combat the forces of running. So you got to mix it in.
I will talk about this in another podcast, but I've been working with a strength coach over the last couple months, and it's been incredible. It's a very well-designed program. Best strength program I have been on in my life, in that it's designed to fill in all of those gaps. So we do a lot of single leg work. We do a lot of side-to-side work, a lot of different stuff that I hadn't done just on a bodybuilding or a pure strength style program. And it's been really cool to see. So I think you're bringing up a really good point that a lot of people don't think about with their strength program.
Yeah. And, shout out to our own Chemo Cole, Anvil Fitness, right? Who's here training in our gym. I train with him every week because he challenges me in ways that I don't think about. And running is certainly going to miss it. So that's just an important point. You got to get your training, your side body training. You got to get your body challenged in different ways. If you straight run, straight bike, straight swim, straight weightlift even, you're going to miss parts of your body that are going to be protective against that knee injury, especially. Like the knee is that joint between your really mobile hip and your really mobile ankle. Well, hopefully really mobile hip and really mobile ankle. But the knee, if things aren't working right, or if you're overbearing with certain muscle groups, it's going to wear and tear. Not in what people always come in, they're like, they think they need a knee replacement, or they've got arthritis, or, they've blown their meniscus or whatever. But it's usually just those big muscle, that big muscle group, that big quad that's feeding all into your kneecap that is just too tight. Or, your IT band has gotten sticky on your quad. That's kind of a classic running injury, but it's that too tight front leg from too much frontal motion that's really going to heat up your knee. So got to look after those tissues as well.
Right. And so we're big fans too of things like foam rolling, lacrosse balling.
Got to do it.
Getting in there and breaking some of that up and getting some release.
Well, I mean, you have to look after your tissues, right? It's going to reset everything. We've said it a
million
few times. We may have said this a few times on the show, but you have to look after your muscles if you don't want them to break on you. And so if you're a 55-year-old runner like I am, you really have to look after your muscles, and you have to look after keeping your inflammation low. You have to do the proper nutraceuticals as well, right? You've really got to do all the pieces and the proper amount of training and proper balance. So there's a lot to it. And we haven't even talked about gear and footwear as well, which is another big thing.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's dig in.
Yeah, what's some of your essentials when you look at kind of gear requirements for people to be safe and have a great experience running?
Well, not much. I mean, you can run naked with good shoes. I mean, I guess if you're a guy. Okay, delete that from the show. No, I mean, seriously, shoes are the big conundrum because there's also a lot of controversy around footwear. I've been in it myself. I was a big believer in sort of the barefoot running, minimalist shoe, strong foot approach, all the way up until I started training for distance, and my feet and my shins and everything started not feeling great. And my coach at the time's like, you have to get out of minimalist shoes. Like, you need to run in something else. And she was right, So I think with footwear as well, it speaks to the conditions you're running in. Like, if you're trail running, you can run in a different type of shoe than if you're road running. So, and age, when your feet are older, ligaments tend to give a little bit more. A lot of people get a collapse in their, not to be too technical, but in the front arch of their foot, and they start getting some wear and tear and some pain, and different things happen. So for me, I run in a really cushy shoe. I run in a Hoka. I don't have any injuries from it. I love it, but it's not for everyone. So I always send people to our friends down at Super Jock and Jill. I love them. They will put you in a shoe that fits you and that works for your foot.
And I do recommend that as well. It's difficult to buy a shoe online rather, that you haven't tested before. And it's even interesting if a shoe that works well for you, sometimes those variations in releases can make dramatic changes to that shoe. So shoes are one of those things that can really benefit by going in to, say, like a Super Jock and Jill and having somebody analyze your gait and then just trying it on prior to buying it and having that whole experience of an in-store thing can be really beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, those guys there too, you can run on that shoe and bring it back at some other stage. And we can look at it here too. Like, there's lots of little things you can do with a shoe to kind of power up your gait a bit, whether it's a little lift in the arch, whether it's a little metatarsal pad, things like that really make a difference for your gait pattern. Especially if something is a little bit deactivated and you need to power it up a little bit. So a lot can be done with footwear, but it's a very personal decision. But I wouldn't recommend doing a lot of road running on a shoe with no cush.
And the other thing too with shoes is I think people underestimate how often you need to get them replaced.
Yes, they wear out. And the other thing is you can't buy 9 shoes of your favorite pairs and have them sit there because they will wear out, and even though they're not being worn, right? The plastic just starts to disintegrate.
Similar to, I think of it like a bike helmet.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of think about running shoes now, and I used to not. But a bike helmet, if you get over this idea of like, I bought this nice bike helmet and I'm going to have it forever. It's like, no, you bought a bike helmet and at some point, not that far from now, even if you don't crash, you should probably replace it because there's a breakdown in the chemical structure of what makes that helmet work.
Yeah.
So that over time, it's becoming less and less effective at doing the thing that it's supposed to do, which is protect you. And the same for a shoe. Over time, even without use, it becomes less effective at doing its job.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure, maybe you know, I don't know if it's 3 months or 6 months for a shoe replacement. I think it might be three if you're running a lot of miles, six if you're not. I'm not sure.
It's more aggressive than you would think.
Yeah.
I believe it's mileage dependent, but it's not 3 years. That's for sure. So
No,
I think
it's not fine. Yeah. People have their shoes for a long time and they throw
I
those
used to
away.
have running shoes for years that I ran on all the time. To the point where they were getting, say, a hole in the big toe area. I was running them to the threadbare zone, and that's not good to do.
Not good to do.
And I had knee pain, and shin pain.
Yeah,
And
yeah, you did.
amazingly enough, when I got new shoes, and now that I've been on a new shoe routine that's more in that 6 to 9 month range, I've found it's made a tremendous difference in my ability to run consistently without having really any of those issues.
Yeah, I'm at 3 to 4 months. I do a new shoe. I have quite a stack of old shoes, but I think some places like I think Super Jock and Jill and like Brooks, they'll recycle your shoes, which is nice. As far as other gear, again, it's personal. Depends on weather. I always say, be bold, start cold. So I like to outdoor run. I don't wear a whole lot. I'm cold for the first 3 miles and then I get warm. But winter running tights, if anyone's got a favorite pair, definitely give us a shout because I'm struggling to find the ideal winter running tight.
I ran like a 5K in some winter running tights, and I had not been used to running in winter running tights, and I got a tremendous rash.
Special.
Yeah, so just
Well,
watch out if you haven't used them before. Ease into it.
Yeah, I mean, I bought Smart Wool. They're not right. I bought Lulu's. I don't like running in Lulu tights. They tend to slide. Just they're not. I like running in shorts, preferably.
Me too.
But it's too cold for shorts. So
The other piece of gear I would say that I think is essential if you're getting into running, it's very helpful, is some kind of a smartwatch / tracker that can help give you some feedback on your pacing and your distance and your steps and that kind of thing. So I find that that's very beneficial for most people who run.
yeah, I drive people crazy because I have no tech. I just go run. I have no tech. People are like, well, you don't know what your splits are. And I'm like, I'm just a rogue.
Are so rogue.
I am going to get tech, though. I'm going to buy the Aura Ring.
Oh, that's a
Which
great,
I'm
that's
really
a nice
excited
compromise.
about.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. I'd love to hear after you get that. We should have you on the show. You can talk to us about it because
Yeah.
I thought that that's a cool piece of tech, and I would be really interested to see how that impacts. What I like about tech is that it gives you more data about your performance and about your body. And on the flip side, it can maybe remove some of that intuitive conversation that you have with yourself, which I think you could make an argument that there's a tremendous benefit in developing your intuitive ability to dial in and be present with your body and recognize, based on how you're feeling, where you're at. But on the flip side, you do get some really great data from having some smart tech involved in your fitness.
I think the big thing with the Aura Ring in particular is it's really accurate with its sleep tracking, and I like the fact that I'll be able to better tell what kind of workout I should do without hurting myself. I mean, it's all about injury prevention as well, right? So, if I didn't sleep well and I'm not well rested, then that kind of guides what kind of workout I should do. Maybe I should swim that day, right? So, but in recap, running, love it indoors, love it outdoors. Wear the right shoes, get help, and look after your quads.
Absolutely. And
And cross-train.
the other thing I would say and throw in there is make it fun, find ways to create a positive experience with it. So I think that having a great playlist, I would also recommend.
Yes.
Music for me makes a huge difference. I don't know if you run with music, but I love music
Definitely.
in all of my fitness, and it's been really fun to have running playlists. And I have people who, I ask them, what's your running playlist? And if they're on Spotify, I'll have them share it with me. So it's nice to have some variety. So I would throw that in the mix as well. But yeah, if you're running consistently and you're having issues with hot spots or pain points, or you're getting something like a knee pain that's not going away, those are all great signs that you should come in and get a little work done and help get yourself tuned up, because oftentimes we want to catch those things before they become big major hindrances to your
Absolutely.
fitness.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing about running, and we will look forward to see you on the next show.